very much. So to start with, I always ask this, it's quite awkward. Who here knows what Tinder is before we go into lots of different things? Who here has used Tinder? Who here is currently still using Tinder? Some of you are lying, okay, but that's fine. We're not going to get into it. So my name's Callie. I actually know Russell for a long time. We actually shared an office when we first started out through in Glasgow. And Russell taught me a huge amount of stuff at the very start about lots of different things. We also used to try to blag free tickets to conferences that did occasionally work on Twitter, and then hound VCs together at the same sort of time. So it's really great to come along and speak at the event tonight. So Mallzee, we like to think of ourselves as trying to just make retail better, or as we define it down, just better retail. All of you, I'm really happy to say, are wearing clothes, which is great because that means you've all contributed to the sector that we target and the sector that we work on. To start with, I thought I was going to go first, but there's been two people before me, so I might be repeating some of the things that have already come up. But a lot of my talk today is not going to be about how we collect data, and there's lots of data challenges in our business. We have to collect retailer data on all the products, pull them into the app to then show them to consumers. I'm going to focus just on the consumer side. So actually the data that we generate for retailers and how those retailers benefit from our offering. So to start with, I want to talk about data-driven kind of models to begin with. Who here currently has a business that sells data or is heading in that sort of direction? Okay, fair enough, perfect. So for us, we look at it as three different areas. Number one, primary data, so proprietary. The reason I don't say proprietary, I'll come to later on, but it does make sense. Secondary data. So both of you guys are, I would describe as secondary data sources in the sense of you're taking data in from other people and pushing it out. We're primary because we're making our own. And then finally, consulting, which is, even if you make a product, to me, is you've taken the data that a partner has, so the person that you're selling to, and then you're enriching it to get out the other side of that. And to me, each of these has a different challenge and has a different opportunity and has a different cost for the service that you're then selling into the other person. To start with, I want to talk about the problem that we're tackling. Firstly, how cool is this guy? I really like this picture. Found it on Pixels. I thought it was really good. But to me, the two biggest problems in retail are not selling more stuff, okay? People buy lots of stuff. There's lots of ways for retailers to sell more stuff. That is not the problem that faces retailers. The problem that faces retailers is the product. The stuff that we're all wearing. I'm going to make this interactive because I know it's been a long day for all of us, so I'm going to keep asking questions. Who here has bought a product on sale, a clothing product on sale, so discounted, in the last 6 months? Like 70%, if not more. 50% of the product that retailers make ends up in the discount rack. That's all of the data that we collect through. So 1 in 2 products sold in the UK as clothing gets discounted. That is a massive loss to all of these retailers. You see at the end of Princess Street, you've got House of Fraser going to be closing their stores. They have had a huge problem with discounting. It happens all the time now, and it's the scourge of the industry. That is what we are trying to fix. With Mallzee, with the consumer side app, we generate the data. We give a benefit to the consumer, but the data that we generate tries to tackle, number one, overstock. So people buying too much of the product, which then means all of us get a discount from that at that point in time. And then number two, understock. Because of the way supply chains operate, if I'm a retailer and I buy this jacket today, it might not be in my store for 3 months. If it's really popular, I sell it out in the first 2 weeks, can't get it back in for another 3 months, by which point it is no longer popular. So I've lost my opportunity at that point in time. Both of these combined is worth billions of pounds to retailers just in the UK every single year, and that's what we try to tackle. So how do we try to tackle it? Well, the Mallzee consumer app started, what was it, about 2013? A long time ago now. Not as long ago as the list. That's fucking impressive, to be honest with you. But a long time ago at that same point in time. What we did was we started off as a website, and we kind of looked at aggregation, pulling together all these different products and helping consumers kind of find something that was unique to them. We started as a website. We realized very quickly that actually web doesn't really work for us and what we were doing. We were competing with our retailers, so we went mobile only. We started off with kind of an Instagram sort of double tap sort of thing. One of my co-founders got addicted to a dating app. I'm not going to say which one, Tinder. And from that, we found this lovely sort of swipe interaction, and we thought that's just what like basically going to a store is like. You swipe through clothes, things that you like, you pull out. That's what our interaction is going to be. So we changed it around in a week. We moved from a double tap to this swipe interaction. We sent out a bung of press releases, and I think we signed up about 8,000 people in 2 or 3 days. TechCrunch, New York Magazine described it as better than sex. Loads of people replied to their tweet about saying you're doing sex wrong. I probably agree with them. And kind of go through that process. What that has allowed us to get to, and as we've developed over time, as a consumer side thing, is that we've now got about 1.5 million downloads. We've generated well over 500 million customer opinions, and a customer opinion to us is a swipe. Those are on over 3 million products. So we have this huge database and huge backdrop of the success of products within the UK industry. Across about 150 brands and retailers. That extends out a lot bigger because with some of those retailers, they might bring us 1,000 different brands, but that's where we look at in terms of where we take data from. And our average session length is now about 11 minutes. Actually, I think it's closer to 12 for this month so far. That's about 3 times higher than you're nodding, you're disappointed in that? Or?
I think it's amazing.
Thanks, mate, that's really nice. I gave him a $5 for that earlier. So number one, you have to build something that provides value to the people that you collect data from. At the end of the day, consumers who use the Mallzee shopping app, we provide them value. You get price drop notifications on anything that you say that you like that gets saved away for later. You get size charts, so you save all your sizes and then we only show you stuff that's available in your size. We've got all the stores in one single place with one single checkout, so it's really easy to buy from lots of places all at the same time. We've provided them value, they've given us data. We also take a small commission on anything they sell, but actually, I'm not really that bothered about that. I just want the data because I can do so much more interesting things through that. So we've done that, and we've got a really good, time in app, which proves that we've sorted it. It's then all about scale. So we were the first people to do the Tinder for shopping thing, but we were not the last. We got lots of copycats. We got lots of people that kind of just lifted stuff from us. People that I actually knew. I really hate them. But that's okay because at the end of the day, they focused on the wrong thing. So they focused on how do we sell more stuff. We focused on how do we build a data business and everything that's around that. So we are the ones that lasted, that got scale. They're the ones that died away. Why do I mean scale? Well, this is all well and good. You could probably make a Tinder-style shopping app, throw it out there, but you have no historical data to go back and look at. So you don't know how Nike shoes did 2 or 3 years ago. So when you do the scores of the new Nike collection, you have nothing to compare against it. That scale creates our moat. It's our data moat. It's what makes us unique. It's what makes our offering unique. We like to think of it as the blue water. So when you're rowing, blue water is the distance between the front boat and the boat that's behind it. This is what puts us in front of the competition, is all that data that we can look back on and build through. Next bit, you need to find out what the insights is. None of us are retail people, so this maybe took us longer than we thought it would take. We had lots of iterations, we tried lots of different ideas, we pitched lots of different things to people. We eventually found the one that really worked for us, which is that product future offering, because it's really early in their cycle. So for us, when we work with partners now, we're like, if you work with us, if you use our data, we'll improve your gross margin by between 3 and 6%. That's our kind of promise, that's our offering. If you work with us for longer, it'll get better past that point, but it's a really compelling offering to them eventually as we build that through. And then finally, in a data business, because not B2C, you have to go and you have to start selling. So you have to then build a sales machine behind that, you have to build lead generation, you have to build all these sorts of different things through, and you have to understand how that mechanism works. For me, I've got to this bit here, I think, for Mallzee. Maybe we're probably halfway through this one here, in the sense of we have partners, people use our data, we're seeing value, and this is accelerating. It took us a long time to do these 2 bits. Do not, I'll talk about that in a second, do not worry about how long this bit takes. If you're building a data business, you are going to be patient. You are going to be in it for the long haul because that is what is needed at this point in time. So finally, well, nearly finally, is I've got 2 points. Educated and non-educated, both in customers, but also founders, teams, and investors. So the thing for me as an industry, who here thinks that the clothing industry is probably very high tech and everyone uses lots of data? I used to think it would be like that. It is not like that. It is a lot of people going, next season, I think the most popular shoe is going to be brown Chelsea boots. I will buy 20,000 pairs of brown Chelsea boots. It doesn't work. I sell them all at a discount. We have a very uneducated data audience that we often have to sell to, so we have to do a lot of education. We have to spend a lot of time with clients. We have to talk them through things. We have to make them feel comfortable. We share a lot of data with them through our sales process. We then have, a non-paid pilot, a paid pilot, and then into contracts, break clauses, and everything that goes with that. So you have to understand, if you're building a data business, are you dealing with an educated audience? So they totally get it. They buy lots of data. Like, I was looking at your business. Yours is educated. Like a lot of them will be educated. Yeah. I'm not just mean educated as in smart, but data educated. Data educated, which means is that your sales cycle should be shorter, and that's easier. But the cost might be slightly different. For non-educated, we have to be expensive because it takes all the time. Salespeople, talking to them, going through all these different sorts of stages. My final point doesn't link to this totally, but founders, teams, and investors. Because data models, you need to go through all of these different stages. It's not just build it, sell it. It's build it, scale it, insights, sell it. You need to have founders, teams, and investors that are patient, that understand that space, that understand that you're going to try lots of different things to try to find that insight, and are willing to stay the course and invest in that either with time or with financial resource. So as a bit of a clothing? Ha-ha! Here all night. Closing, the 3 things that stick out for us. Can't just believe I did that. Can we get rid of that from the recording? That was really bad. It's been a long week. Is data needs scale and depth. Data isn't worth anything in most sectors, and it needs to generate insights. Like it needs to generate insights. Do not kid yourself that this educated, non-educated thing doesn't matter. There's so many people. When I said primary instead of proprietary, I don't use proprietary because that feels more complicated. I call it primary. I don't even use the word data in a lot of conversations with partners. I talk about insights. I talk about generating improvements. These sorts of things, talking their language and understanding that. And finally, it's a long game. I was meant to do this with Hilda. This is her Twitter. If any of you know her, she's been sick for the last 2 days. You can send her a tweet to say, I hope you feel better and that you missed her tonight. If you don't know her, you could do that as well. That's me. I'm happy to answer any questions on that as well as here tonight. And as I said, we're hiring UX, data develops, growth manager, didn't say that, customer support, and sales. Thank you very much.